So we've arrived in Glasgow on this fine day. The Commonwealth Games is in full flow, so there's lots of Scottish flags and other flags from around the Commonwealth. And we're going to ask some of the locals what they're going to be voting in this coming September.
I'll be voting no.
Same, I'm voting no.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I haven't voted for any party for the past 35 years, but I'm coming out to vote a great big no on behalf of the Better Together campaign.
And why is that?
Well, like I said, I haven't voted for any political party in 35 years, but I think that the country is much better off together than it would be as an independent entity. So my vote is definitely no, and I'm absolutely 100% sure that the rest of the public who have an ounce of sense will be voting no as well. That's it.
At the moment, I'm still open to being swayed one way or the other. I'm more probably swaying towards the no vote, if I'm honest, at the moment in time, just mainly because there's a lot of unanswered questions from the sort of yes campaign that I haven't had any real answers to. So
Mixed reviews, kind of a sitting on the fence at this moment in time because you've not got all the answers yet. And I think a lot of the Scottish public haven't got all the answers. Okay, they brought out the white paper, but in layman's terms, who's going to be sitting through and reading all this? And the everyday guy, woman on the street, it's a lot to kind of take in. A lot of people are just confused and also worried and concerned about, are we going to be still able to keep the pound, or what like the interest rate's going to be? It's a whole kerfuddle.
Well, basically, I'm voting no. I think we're definitely better with the rest of the UK for a variety of reasons, not including things like the NHS, tax, banks, embassies, you name it. There's lots of things we just don't have, i.e. infrastructure in this country that is given to us by, the wider UK.
Yeah.
Another one would be jobs. We wouldn't be a global player. So I just think we're better off as part of the UK.
I personally think it's a good idea. Either it's a yes or a no. I think it will benefit Scotland in the long run.
I'm a no. I just think that we're fine the way that we are. I think I have quite a lot of connections to England as well, and I quite like being part of Great Britain. I wouldn't want to break those ties, and I don't think there's anything that the Conservatives, or not the Conservatives, there's other things that the Scottish Government could do to make Scotland a better place, but they could do those without being independent. So that's my thoughts.
If they start to come up with more solid answers for that, for example the SNP actually laid out their entire what they would
manifest,
do, like in writing, and it was a promise to the country, would that sway your vote more towards a yes or?
It's a hard question, to be fair. I would have to, for job security, that's the main issue. And obviously for financial security, for long term for Scotland and everyone that stays here as well. So it is a really hard question to ask, and it's a hard one that the Scots have got to ask themselves as well. Yeah. So I'm still sitting on the fence. I know it's approaching fairly quickly now, but nearer the time, I suppose, when you do kind of need the answers, you will pick the right decision, I would imagine.
Maybe, but I'm quite happy being part of the union. I just don't see any point in splitting, just being one country.
Being dubbed out.
Yeah.
There's no point in it when we're a much stronger factor together. Even though yes, there's parts of it we don't like, I think that's more what you need to work on. Not, let's just storm out entirely, but no, stand our ground and say, no, this is what we want done. I mean, we have our own parliament that does get its own rulings and things. I mean, when students didn't want to pay the £9,000, we don't pay it. I worked for the student loans company. We weren't paying it. We never were, because we said no. We can still say no to English laws. We don't need to take them, but people are just seeing it as a way to think, that's it, we can stomp out the English, Braveheart and all that, and that's not the case. People need to start thinking of Braveheart this, no, and letting 16-year-olds vote. That's just a stupid idea.
I think probably in principle I'll vote to no, but I am still open to be persuaded. But as I say, I haven't had enough answers to persuade me that independence is the right way for Scotland.
How about your friends and family? Are they? Because we get the feeling that families and friends are split, like literally down the middle.
Yeah,
like.
big time. They're all kind of at first I was all for it because the independence thing, and thought no, we could stand alone and all the rest of it. But at the same time, a lot of my family as well were more orientated to the staying. Why break something? Why change something that's not broken, sort of. So.
It's very mixed. It's like even within our family, it's mixed. It really just depends who. Everybody's got their own opinion. I know people who say yes. I know people who say no. It's quite close, I would say.
I would say more people I speak to are no, but I see a lot more publicity for the yes campaign, like on people's cars and like houses and stuff, like stickers. You don't see so much of that for the no's, but then when I speak to people, it's a no. But I suppose you never know how people are going to vote on the day.
And how do you feel about the people that you talk to? Because you said that you're from Fife.
Yeah.
Are the majority of the people talk to you, how are they kind of swaying?
A lot of people are swaying towards the yes vote, to be honest. A lot of people I know are very pro-independent, so I would say from my point of view, my sort of peers are probably all going towards the yes vote. The younger kids actually that I know are more towards the no vote, surprisingly. The sort of 17, 18-year-olds that are getting to vote for the first time are more leaning towards no.
Because obviously they've opened up the vote to 16 and 17-year-olds. Do you think that there'll be a large turnout of that age group, or do you reckon it will be fairly small?
No, I think there'll be a large turnout. I think the appeal of being able to vote for the first time, the appeal of being able to make a decision about your country's future, certainly in 16, 17-year-old bracket will appeal because they've never had that opportunity before to actually be involved. So I do think there will be a lot of them will turn out to vote. So I think the apathy might be more in the older people.
A few of the people that were spoken today have almost given the impression that they're literally going to make their mind up when they're in the booth.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of people are saying basically things like, well, why can we not stand alone like countries like Norway, other Scandinavian countries as well? But to be fair, Scotland's not had the opportunity to bank the money over the years. A lot of the money has been going maybe down to England and the companies that own the rigs and everything as well. So I think we're not in that position because countries, as I say, like Norway for instance anyway, they have been banking the money over the years and years. So where does it all put the pension system and everything in Scotland? So I think it may be down to the last minute for a lot of people.
In all honesty though, like, ignore that we're English, but like, is there an anti-English sentiment to some of the yes votes?
I think there is, yeah.
There's a lot of it that is just to one up the English, and I can't say anything, I'm half English, but that's not why my vote is no. My vote is no is because why break something that's not broken? Just, we need to stand our ground more, not divert out, not run away, stand our ground, fight what we want, not run away from the problem to make a bigger problem with a person like Alex Salmond ruling this country. No thank you.
I have to ask, do you think any of the yes vote is coming from an anti-English sentiment?
No, I wouldn't say that. I think that's not a myth as such, but I don't think it worries people as much in Scotland now about English, Scotland. I don't personally find that in any way at all. I've got family down in England as well, but things like that don't come into play in my mind at all. So I don't. There's a minority, probably there's a minority, and there's always going to be, even down south there'll be that as well. So no, I don't think that would come into play when it comes to decision making like that as well.
I've spoken to a few people that they use the term like head and heart. How do you feel about that sort of referencing to the vote? Like, does that drive you crazy that people would vote with their hearts, or?
I understand there's some of that, but I think ultimately in this election the head has to rule. You know, they have to be realistic, and you know, your heart is fine for 5 minutes, but if this goes through, you know, it's supposed to be a long-term thing, and you're gonna have to use your head for that at some point.
So we're here, having stopped off at the English-Scotland border on our way home. Now come September, Scotland's going to have to make a decision on the future of their country, and we'll be back here to see what happens.